Welcome back for our 12th and possibly final edition of the Central Texas High School Football Webcast.
Isn't it 11th?
Is it 12th or 11th? I don't know. But we do know this. It's the last week of the regular season. Guys, I was out of town last Friday. I come back and read the Saturday paper and find out all sorts of things are going on in District 14 5A. We've got Round Rock losing on a night they really needed to win. And we got Pflugerville losing on a night they really needed to win. Going into the final week, what's the situation like in that district?
Well, I think we pretty much know the top teams, and we know the bottom teams. Actually, what I was interested in is, remember when we were talking about the beginning of the year, how close that district was going to be? Everybody was going to be vying for a playoff spot. Well, that was not true. As Georgetown and Stony Point proved that there was some disparity in the district. But the playoff teams, we got a big game coming up, Pflugerville and Round Rock.
Yeah, but even saying that, Stony Point started this season, 4-0, I think, or 3-0?
2-1.
2-1.
Yeah.
There was a point earlier in the season where we thought, look at this great district.
Right.
It's and Georgetown, even up to maybe 2 weeks ago, was still in the conversation. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Do we know who is playing whom in the playoffs? Who's making it? Who's not making it? Who's on the fence?
For 14
5A.
We got, I think Westwood's going to be playing either Bryan or Shoemaker. Those two teams play Friday. A&M Consolidated will be playing, I think, the winner of the Round Rock Pflugerville game.
That's exactly right.
And then Cedar Park and Leander. I think it kind of depends on that.
Right.
Who wins that game, but those two teams will be going.
We'll talk Pflugerville, Round Rock a little bit later, as we will Cedar Park and Leander. But it comes down to Friday night, does it not, as far as Pflugerville and
Well,
Round
the most
Rock?
important thing about this the district is that the district will be determined as far as the champion. Cedar Park is playing Leander, and that they're not very far from each other, and then the winner will be declared the district champion, even though it'll be a tie if Cedar Park wins, but, by virtue of beating Leander. Leander has been the best team, I think, by far, but Cedar Park has been, they've surprised a lot of people.
Who's beating themselves up more this week for losing on Friday, Round Rock or Pflugerville?
Oh, Pflugerville. I think Pflugerville, just because they were up 17 with 8.5 minutes to go the other day. I know Round Rock's not feeling too good about losing by a point, but when you're up 17 and you've got the game in the bag, hello Dallas Cowboys, just things like that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could make just as big of an argument for Pflugerville for Round Rock. If they won that game, this game's meaningless today.
Yeah.
So both these teams have to be kicking themselves. But obviously not for very long because, that's in the past, as a coach will tell you. So it's all about this week.
Past is correct. Let's move on to the future this week. Before we do, though, we'll tip a little our cap. Last week we'll name some game balls and give out our Player of the Week honor when we come back. Well, before we name our Player of the Week, we need to give out some game balls. I'll start it off. My game ball is going to Brock Fitzhenry, Giddings quarterback again. Rushed for 277 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 straight games over 200 yards rushing. So he's my guy this week. How about you, Rick?
People are getting sick of him being named every week.
Hey, when you got the stats, you got the awards.
And Davis Collins from Austin High School, running back, he rushed for 225 yards. They defeated San Marcos 35-20.
Big win.
Big win. A lot of people thought San Marcos playing at home would be favored, and Davis is one reason that Austin High could do something in the playoffs.
We started off talking about 14-5A's playoff picture. Obviously, Westwood heavily factoring into that conversation. Player of the Week, you were at that game last week.
Chase Rich.
Is
this guy the best player in Central Texas? I mean,
he was last
week.
Right
now.
Yeah.
Every single week he seems to be doing amazing things. This week, 320 yards through the air, 18 of 35, 3 touchdowns. He also rushed for 1, and he brought his team back in the fourth quarter from just down 17 points in the final 9 minutes. The guy's been able to do everything. He hit 2 very, very pretty 34-yard passes to 2 different receivers. It looked like the exact same play to 2 different receivers. In that final quarter, and I don't think there's a quarterback who's playing better right now than Chase Rich.
That's the kind of win that really builds momentum heading into the playoffs. Huge game for Chase Rich. I'd like to hear a little bit more about him.
But for the record, there is no better coach to be covering on a last-second win than Anthony Wood.
How so? Did he almost explode?
You were waiting for him to explode.
Yeah.
But he is. It's just funny. His eyes are huge. The head is shining. from the sweat, and yeah, it looks like he's about to explode.
There we go.
He's a good Coach of the Year candidate, too.
Absolutely. As is Chase Rich, Player of the Year candidate. When we come back, we're going to hang out with him for a little bit. Is that right?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to our Central Texas webcast. We have two very special guests with us from Westwood High School. We have quarterback Chase Rich to my left and running back Andy Stockberger to my far left. And these guys were involved in maybe the most exciting game of the year. They defeated Pflugerville 51-48 in overtime last week. And I got to ask you right off the bat, Chase, you were down by 17 points in the fourth quarter, and it couldn't have looked good, but you tell me, what was the sideline like?
Well, I think our defense was taking the field when we were down 17, and so we on the sideline and them on the field knew that we needed a big turnover, and they got that for us. And then we felt the momentum swing on the sideline, and I think everybody throughout the stadium felt it, and we just knew the game was in our hands. And then we got the fumble recovery and then drove down there and scored, and then the next play they get back on offense, our defense gets another big turnover for us, and I think that was the game right there. We had all the momentum, and they didn't know what to do.
And one thing about Westwood is you got such a prolific pass offense that you must have thought that you still have a chance because you can pass the football. You tell me.
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, with our passing offense, it's such a big play threat, and I think that's what got us back into the games was the big plays that we made on it, and then bring us back into the game with so little time left.
Right. Andy, 2-7 last year, your guys' record. This year, you're 8-1 with one game to play. That's one of the most dramatic differences in Central Texas this year. Why the big change? Is it just you guys are just more talented, or what happened this year?
Well, I think this year, we had a huge attitude change, and so, everyone, expected to win, and that was everyone's attitude. Do whatever it takes to get that win.
One thing that's different, the coach was in his second year, Anthony Wood. How has he changed? Because obviously being a head coach for the first year is not easy. How has he changed over the year?
I would say he seems a little more confident, and he's just real relaxed. He's not getting overwhelmed or anything when in bad situations. He's keeping cool.
Chase, I want to ask you, was last week the highlight of the year so far? And if not, what has been?
Oh, I think last week was definitely a big game, but I'd have to say our second week at playoffs or in district at Round Rock was a big game. We were down 14 points off the bat, and then we ended up coming back to win that game in overtime, and I think that's what got us on in district, and so I think that's been the highlight of our season.
Andy, a tough question for you. I don't know if you guys know this, but Westwood has never won a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean,
but this year, hey, it could be you guys could be trailblazers. Mm-hmm. Tell me about it.
Oh well, I mean, it's all about our attitude. We know our past, and it's a new team. We got a lot of new guys, so we know we got what it takes.
It'd be history in the making because Westwood's been there for about 25 years now, and this is probably the best football team Westwood has had in that 25 years, and they've got a game this Friday against Stony Point, and these are two of the best offensive players in Central Texas, and I appreciate you guys coming down, Chase and Andy, and good luck, man. Thanks for making the drive down here. I know it's not easy. Appreciate it.
We've got 3 games to talk about on our Pick'em line this week. 2 of them are from 14-5A. Neither of them are for concerning Westwood games, however. But we've got Cedar Park at Leander, the battle for the district championship at AC Bible Stadium. They both call that stadium home. Tyler Smith back. Does that factor into either of you guys possibly picking Cedar Park?
It's definitely a factor back. He had about 160 yards last week, and when he's going right, he's one of the best players in the district. With that said, I'm taking Leander. Leander is very strong. Offensively, defensively, their quarterback is strong. They've got great running backs and wide receiver. Mm-hmm. I like Leander.
I'm sticking with Leander as well. I've gone with him all year long as the district favorite, and I think even when there was that time where we liked Cedar Park or Westwood and all those teams, I think all along I said Leander's still the team to beat, and I'll go the Lions.
how healthy Tyler Smith is will play a huge factor in this game. It's not only on that he plays on offense and actually makes that offense, but it's that Chris Ross is a conservative coach, and he can play his defense and he can play a conservative fashion when Tyler Smith is in there. That said, I'm going with Leander. I haven't seen them play yet this year, amazingly, but they seem to be playing well. They're blowing out, it seem to be blowing out everybody in the district right now, and I don't think anybody's playing better than them.
Yeah, Josh McKinley on fire. Second game we're going to, Pflugerville at Round Rock. Battle for the last playoff spot in that district. Both coming off losses.
Boy, I think Pflugerville has been snake bit all year long. And because of that, I am taking Pflugerville.
You're like Lee Corso, waiting for you to put the big panther.
Well, they were this close for beating Westwood the other day, and Westwood's an outstanding football team. I just think that Pflugerville, they've got some athletes. They had a very slow start in the season. I think it's about time they put it all together.
Alan, you watched Pflugerville last week. Do they bounce back from that? It's got to be a devastating loss there in the fourth quarter and overtime.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pick Pflugerville. Maybe it's the vanilla from your coffee that's screwing up my thoughts, but I believe that I really was impressed with their running game. I mean, shockingly impressed with how easily they were able to move the ball in Westwood on the ground. And after seeing Round Rock earlier in the year, I have a funny feeling that Pflugerville's going to be able to run the ball on them.
I like that pick because I'm 2 games back in the standings. I'm going to go with Round Rock. I think really Rick said it best.
It scares me that I agree with Rick, by the way.
Well, Rick said it best. I think Pflugerville is snake bit, and for whatever reason, this has just not been a typical Pflugerville year. So I'm going to go with Round Rock there in that game. Last game we need to talk about, Travis at LBJ. Obviously, big playoff implications in 17-4A. This game's at Nelson Field. I'm going with the Rebels, Travis.
I'm going with LBJ.
Yeah.
I saw the Rebels last week. And if you had seen the Rebels last week, you would probably be picking LBJ too. I mean, McCallum made them look really bad.
McCallum makes every team in it, well, except for Elgin, look bad.
Well, that's true.
I'm going with LBJ too, which
you're
probably
agreeing with
means
me
you're
again.
picking up a game, because if I'm agreeing with Rick, who's,
May
what are you,
time?
575 games back or something like that?
It's only 400.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I'm going with LBJ too. I just have a funny feeling that they're gonna pull this out.
That's going to be a good one. We'll see. All right, everyone out there can log on to our website, pick your wits against our wits. That URL is statesman.com/pick'em, or you can navigate your way through the website into the high school sports section and get there the same way. But match your picks against ours. We'll see how you do against us, and we will maybe talk to you next week if we want to keep doing this for the playoffs. We'll see. Thanks.